Strawson and the ontological status of facts. There are two main views about the ontological nature of empirical facts. First, facts are arrangements of things in the world. Second, facts are true propositions or true thoughts. The first view was defended by the logical atomists like Russell and Wittgenstein, but also by an ordinary language philosopher as Austin. The second view was of Frege. It was famously defended by Strawson and later accepted by Davidson and many others. There is a culprit behind this conflict, the correspondence theory of truth. The idea that facts are arrangements of elements in the world is complementary to the correspondence theory of truth. According to isomorphism view, a proposition is true when its elements can be at least univocally related with the elements of the fact in the world. On the other hand, if facts are true thoughts, nothing of the kind is possible, and the way to competing theories of truth is open. Now we will see Strawson's defense of the second view. Strawson was the most influential defender of the second view, according to which facts are true propositions, or something of the kind. For him, facts are mere pseudo-material correlates of the statement as a whole, though I don't understand what this could precisely mean. In what follows, I will first expose Strawson's argument. Then I will show where it makes water, exposing what it seems to me the right alternative, an arrangement view that speaks for the correspondence theory of truth. Strawson's most incisive argument was that empirical facts are not spatially temporally localizable in opposition to events or things. This is marked by the fact that the description of a fact is typically anticipated by a that clause. For example, I can say the fact that the book is on the table, but not the fact of a book on the table, while the description of an event typically lacks that clause. I can say the event of a tsunami in Japan, but not the event that there was a tsunami in Japan. I can say the fact that there was a tsunami in Japan. Moreover, he says, I cannot create, destruct, testimony, avoid, kick, repair, point at, see or hear a fact. The same being the case with states of affairs and situations. Finally, to give a striking example, the event of Caesar's crossing the Rubicon occurred in the year 47 BC, but the fact that he crossed the Rubicon did not occur in the year 47 BC. It is still the case today, since facts simply do not occur. They are not in the time. In other words, Strawson bases his argument in an opposition, a dichotomy between facts versus events. Empirical facts aren't spatial-temporal, while events are spatial-temporal. A smart and efficacious way to dispose of this argument was proposed by the John Searle, a defender of the correspondence theory of truth. For him, we need a word to describe the thing in the world that makes our thoughts true, the truth maker. The word fact is available, though why do not use it stipulatively in order to designate the truth maker, whatever is it? Now I come to the alternative view that I wish to propose. It seems clear to me that even this way to circumvent the problem is dispensable, since we can show that the problem exists only in the imagination of philosophers. To begin with, of course, I am not saying that everything we may call an empirical fact is objectively real, that 2 plus 2 is 4 is a fact, though not empirically real, and we can say that it is a fact that the sun is not green, but this seems a weird way to say that the fact that the sun is green does not exist. What I want to defend is that empirical facts, particularly regarding so-called observational facts, should be considered objectively real. They exist in the external world. There is a first and relatively obvious argument to show that facts can be constituents of the empirical world. It is the property of many of them of acting causally. Consider the following sentences. The fact that the match was scratched caused the flame. He died because of the fact that he forgot to turn off the gas. Because of the fact that today is holiday, today there will be no class. The fact that Caesar crossed the Rubicon had important historical consequences. It does not seem possible that a pseudo-material correlate, something like a propositional content, can act causally in the empirical world directly in order to produce an effect. Obviously, the admission of the empirical nature of these facts solves this problem, would solve the problem. Scratching the match is a fact event causing the flame. The situational fact created by his forgetfulness of the gas turned on caused his death. The fact circumstance that today is holiday causes the absence of class today. The fact event of crossing of Rubicon concretized a state of affairs that determined causally important historical changes in the Roman Empire. This seems to me enough to make us at least suspicious of Strawson's view. However, I think that I have a more conclusive argument, a key argument against the idea that empirical facts cannot be spatio-temporal. My key argument to regenerate the idea that empirical facts are correlates of true thoughts, so that empirical facts that we represent by means of affirmative sentences may be contingent arrangements of elements in the external world or in the world external or internal in general is the following. There is a confusion in Strawson's argument that is easy to spot. He treats facts as much as states of affairs and situations as being opposed to events. But precisely this can be contested. For an event or occurrence or process can be called a fact, though not any fact can be called an event. Events are facts, but facts are not always events. For example, I can call the event of the eruption of a volcano and the fact that the volcano erupted. This is the same thing. But I cannot call the fact that the Vesuvius is near to Naples and use instead the event that the Vesuvius is near to the pole. That is, all events are facts, but not all facts are events. Hence, it is much more reasonable to consider the word fact as an umbrella term that encompasses events, processes, as much as situations, circumstances, states of affairs, and so on. Because we can change and use all these words when we use a fact, or when we use all these words, we can also use a fact instead. If you see things in this way, events turn to be classified as subtypes of facts. The word event should be seen as a hyponym of the word fact. And indeed, when we treat facts as arrangements of elements, we see that there are two great subclasses of facts. This schema can help. Here is the umbrella term fact. Under the umbrella term, we have two kinds of facts, static facts and dynamic facts. And the ordinary words for static facts are circumstances, situations, states of affairs, and so on, while the ordinary words for dynamic facts are events, occurrence, process, and so on. Well, we begin with the subclass of static facts. They can be formal or empirical, the latter when located in space and time. Static facts do not change while they last. Typical of static facts is that the relationships between the elements constitutive of them do not decisively change during the period of their existence. They may be called states, situations, circumstances, states of affairs. Dynamic facts, the second subclass, are always empirical. They are those that change while they last. The relationship between the elements constitutive of them change decisively during the period of their existence, so that they have a beginning, then some kind of development, afterwards coming to an end. They may be called events, occurrences, occasions, processes, and so on. Formal facts, like the fact that 7 multiplied by 7 is 49, or that triangles have 3 sides, are static in the sense that they aren't properly spatio-temporal. They are not our major concern here. Many facts are empirical and static, since the relationships between the elements constitutive of them do not change during their existence. These kinds of static facts are, in the ordinary language, called states, situations, circumstances, states of affairs, with different small differences in meaning. For example, my unhealthy state, the situation that I am lying in bed, the circumstance of the bad weather, the state of affairs that Venice is full of canals, and that the Earth orbits the Sun, which counts as a static fact since the element of revolving around the Sun is a cyclic relationship that remains the same during the existence of the fact. Dynamic facts, on the other hand, are defined by irrevocable changes in the relations among their elements during the period of their existence. The process of the World War II, for example, was marked by events like the War of Britain, the defeat of Stalingrad, and the invasion of Normandy. It had an imprevisible history. They are usually called events when their duration is shorter, occurrences often when their duration isn't as short, and happenings and processes, especially when their duration is longer. Examples of events are a lightning flash under dark clouds, the explosion of a bomb. Example of an occurrence is the eruption of a volcano. The process of global warming is a very slow natural process, slower as the economic process of globalization. We can predict the stages of many events and processes, although many are also unpredictable in a way that, different from static facts, we cannot have an entire grasp of them before they end. Important is to see that all these things can not only be called events, occurrences, occasions, happenings, processes, but also facts, since they are nothing but empirical and truth makers of a dynamic kind. Empirical fact, and in this way, truth makers of a dynamic kind. We are not able to find the real reason why we use that clause in the description of facts, but not in the description of events. Now we are able to find it. When we speak of dynamic facts, we do not use that clause. So we can speak about the event of Caesar crossing the Rubicon, but not about the event that he crossed the Rubicon. We can speak about the process of climate change, but not about the process that the climate changes. The same isn't the case regarding static facts, which are typically, though not always, described beginning with that clauses. So I can speak about the state of affairs that my book is on the table or that I am lying in bed, but not about the state of affairs of the book on the table of my lying in bed. Conclusions. Conclusion is that clauses are used to emphasize static facts. And since the hyperonym fact can be applied to both the static facts as much as the dynamic facts, it inherits the property of being used indifferently, with or without the that clause. You can say it's a fact that Mount Vesuvius is located near Naples, referring to a state of affairs, as much as it's a fact that Mount Vesuvius has erupted, referring to an event. And you can say Caesar crossing the Rubicon was an event, as much as Caesar crossing the Rubicon was a fact, without using that clause. Caesar's crossing the Rubicon is in turn a very special statement. It is usually not understood as the description of an event, but as an illustrative way of referring to a static social fact, the state of affairs established by the movement of Caesar's army onto Italian territory, violating the law that prohibited this and forcing the Roman state to declare war against him. Rarely is crossing the Rubicon understood in the literal sense as the physical event of crossing the river, which comprises Caesar's location in relation to the river from T1 to Tn. Moreover, due to the nature of dynamic facts like events and processes, we say that they not only are, but also occur in time, while of static facts we say only that they are located in time while they exist. It seems, therefore, that because philosophers such as Strawson did not realize that events are subtypes of facts, saying only that we may say of events that they occur in time, they hastily concluded that only events are located in time, opposing them to timeless facts. But that this isn't true can be shown even by intersubstitutivity salvo veritate. It is not incorrect to say that the event, the occurrence of Caesar's crossing the Rubicon, was a fact, and that this fact occurred in 47 BC as a concrete dynamic fact. On the other hand, the sociopolitical state of affairs established by the crossing of the river was far more durable, because it was a static fact. The political situation of civil war that produced, as it is well known, the fall of the Republic. However, it seems clear that the state of affairs brought about by the crossing of the Rubicon was specially limited to the Roman Empire, and temporarily limited to the time of the Roman Empire at most. This state of affairs wasn't in Australia and isn't present today. Because of its broadest scope, the fact remains the ideal candidate for the role of truth-maker in the correspondence theory of truth. In this case, the fact given in the world could be seen as composed of a static or of a dynamic composition of elements. If you are a defender of the trope theory, these elements are combinations of tropes satisfying the criteria configurations generated by verification rules, thoughts, and in this way allowing their application. Well, here is a bibliography, and for the written exposition of this, there is this blog, Textos de Filosofia Contemporânea.blogspot.com.